Words to use instead of good. And tonight's word is a fun one, and it's quite interesting. So let's get to it. Tonight's word is splendid. Now, splendid, that's how you pronounce it. Splendid, right? Something is splendid. And it's an adjective, as I said, with a positive connotation, a positive meaning. And it means something that's very impressive, which a lot of adjectives say that, right? Very impressive. But it's trying to tell us that you don't describe something that's just kind of okay with splendid. It should be very impressive. Beautiful, it implies beauty. Or possessing splendor. Splendor is the noun. So if something has splendor, it has this kind of beauty. And we often use this to refer to natural beauty. Okay? Natural beauty, not manufactured beauty, but beauty that is caused by nature. Mountains, trees, forests. Okay? Splendid. So I'm going to put a couple of sample sentences on my board and examples of structures that we can use it, right? I saw a splendid, a splendid mountain. Where I live, we have the Rocky Mountains, a huge, enormous mountain range. It's quite beautiful, especially as we get closer to the winter, because the tops will be covered in snow, but the lower part will be beautiful green. So I saw a splendid mountain. And again, this is an adjective. So the adjective here is describing the noun, mountain. Okay, that's one kind of structure. We can also say the painting was splendid. So maybe we went to an art gallery, we saw a beautiful painting. Now, a beautiful painting is not natural beauty, right? Because somebody made it. But maybe it's a picture of mountains or forest or flowers or nature. It doesn't have to be nature, but it often refers to natural beauty. So here we have the adjective splendid. But now it's not describing forward, it's describing this noun across the be verb, okay? So those are my two sentences. Now I want you guys to give us some sample sentences in the comment thread, okay? I want you to try using this adjective in a sentence. In the meantime, I'll say hello to some new friends. We have Ahmad. Ahmad is joining us. He's a Facebook user, so I think he's in a group. What country are you from, Ahmad? Ah, from Pakistan. Thank you. Great. We have Mark Zeggers joining us from Toronto. We have Wilson joining us from Ecuador. Welcome, welcome, Wilson. We also have, Ahmad Videowala, great name, from Jaloom, Pakistan. We have Bargain Betty. Yes, she's from the moon. And we have our first example from Chris. Chris from Belgium. The English gardens are splendid. The English gardens are splendid. Chris, I wonder if you've ever watched that British TV show where the guy goes and tours gardens. It's kind of cool. I can't remember what it's called. Maybe it's called The British Garden. But he takes the show to various huge gardens and palaces and mansions and stuff. Pretty cool. We also have Shaheen Reza joining us. Shaheen Reza is joining us. We have Wako's example. Wako says, a snowstorm can be splendid. Absolutely. Especially if you're not driving unsafely, if you're in a safe environment. Snowstorm can be very beautiful, very splendid. Welcome to the show, Carmen. Carmen's joining us from Peru, Lima, Peru. Okay, if you're just joining us, guys, it's your turn to make a sentence with splendid. I wonder if Mark Zeggers has a sentence up his sleeve using splendid. It usually refers to natural beauty, but You could also have a sentence where you said, for example, I ate a splendid dinner, right? Your meal, your food could be splendid. If it's possessing splendor, if it's a very beautiful meal. Okay. Anyone else have an example? Okay, I think Roni has an example. Roni's example is the project taken by government in 1917 to preserve the historical sites was splendid. Yeah, that's great. Right? Splendid project. Very impressive. Okay, good. Mark's got an example. There is a splendid movie about gardener named Chauncey. Okay. Interesting. A splendid movie about a gardener named Chauncey. We have another one from Chris. Chris says, that's a splendid bouquet, right? A bouquet is an arrangement of flowers, a bundle of flowers. And yes, flowers are natural beauty, right? They're plants. They're beautiful. Well, they're usually beautiful. I mean, of course, a plant or a flower can be unbeautiful, but typically. Wilson says, I have a splendid idea. Well, if your idea is splendid, Wilson, it better be very impressive. Because we wouldn't usually call an idea beautiful, right? So this is where the impressive works. We can call something impressive or splendid because it's very impressive. It's wow, amazing. Now, somebody's joining us here, but I can't read the name. Good evening to you, whoever you are and wherever you're from. Is there a way you can tell us your name in English? It is an English show. Everyone's welcome from anywhere in the world, but it's helpful to write in English. Okay, Shaheen says, your lecture is splendid. Okay, good. Your lecture is splendid. So this fits the very impressive aspect of the meaning. Carmen says, Peruvian traditional dishes are splendid. I believe that, Carmen, because I know a little bit about Peruvian food, and it's very unique in the world. And I've seen some food books and some photographs of Peruvian food, and it looks incredible. So one day I'm going to visit Peru and try some splendid dishes. Okay, Mark Zeggers is clarifying the movie. It's called Being There with Peter Sellers. Yeah, fantastic movie. Weird, funny, super cool. Okay, Wilson has another example. The mountains in the Amazon region are splendid. So yeah, I think, Wilson, in your country, you have part of the Amazon, right? So I'm sure you've seen these mountains. They must be very splendid. And again, that's natural beauty, right? Mountains, rivers, forests, flowers. Natural beauty. Who else do we have here? Anyone else have a sentence example? Okay, Saki says, I got a splendid prize at roll-up of Tim Hortons. Really? That's exciting. So you rolled up your cup at Tim Hortons coffee shop in Canada. They have paper cups, and you roll the top up, the edge, and you can get a prize. Did you really win that, Saki? That's exciting. Okay, we have our friend identified here. My name is Sasaki. I watch your YouTube first time. Okay, well, thank you very much. Sasaki, welcome to the show. Where are you watching from? Sounds like Japan. What city in Japan? You're a new member of our family here, so it's nice to get to know you a little bit. Yeah, so Wilson says he lives in the Amazon region. Yeah. Great. Wilson, again, is in Ecuador, where some amazing, splendid coffee comes from, but also splendid chocolate. Right? Chocolate. The beans that we make chocolate with. Okay, guys, we're going to move into our next segment shortly. I'm just going to check and see if our Guest is on the way. Okay. So Sasaki says, I'm from Japan, I'm studying abroad. Okay. What country are you in, Sasaki? Are you in Canada? Okay, Shaheen says, please give me more examples. You heard Shaheen, guys. Give us some more examples. Keep typing. Okay, Mark has a question. He says, how would I use splendidly in a sentence, Signor Paul? Signor Paul, I haven't been called that in a while, but that's cool. Signor Paul. Okay, Mark, let's have a sentence here. So guys, splendidly, as Mark points out, is the adverb form, which means it has to describe or modify or change the meaning of the verb. So it would work like this. Remember, the meaning, even splendidly is an adverb. It has the same meaning, but it's an adverb. So we're not going to describe the forest or the mountains or the flowers as splendid, because that's an adjective which describes a noun. We're going to describe an action. So an action has to be impressive, or an action has to be beautiful, like nature. So what kind of action we might consider naturally beautiful? Maybe music, maybe something in the arts that's beautiful to watch. Ballet. Maybe we could say she played the song splendidly. Okay. So this is an adverb. It's not describing a noun. It's not describing her. It's describing how she played, the way she played, right? An adverb describes the way an action happened. We might also say the river flowed splendidly. A couple of years ago, I went whitewater rafting. You know, you sit on a raft in a river that's really turbulent, really rough, really wild, and you go down the river. It was fantastic. The river was beautiful to watch. Even though a river can be dangerous, it was beautiful to watch. So we can say the river flowed splendidly, right? So very beautiful. Okay, Mark has another example here. Do you feel that your show is going splendidly well? See, this is what adverbs can also do. Adverbs can also, let me see if I get this right. They can also intensify an adjective or another adverb. Okay, so well is an adverb. It's modifying how things are going. The show is going how? Well. So well is the adverb. We can add another adverb like splendidly to intensify well, make well stronger or more beautiful. Do you feel that your show is going splendidly well? So far, so good. No complaints, Mark. It would be better if, Mark, you visited the show and shared the screen with me sometime. That would be splendid. You are delivering splendidly, Rasheen says. Shaheen. You are delivering splendidly. Thank you. So this is the adverb form, modifying the action of delivering. Excellent. Excellent. I'm just going to clear the board. If you guys want to try using the adverb form splendidly, please give us a comment and we'll have a look at how splendid your examples are. Who's got a nice example? Okay, so Sasaki is in Canada. Wonderful. Vancouver? Toronto? Montreal? English Era says, this show is splendid. That's very kind of you to say. Thank you so much. The show is splendid. The show is the noun. Splendid is going across the be verb and modifying the subject. Very nice. We have Luza Ong with us. Hi, Luza. Thank you for joining the show. Nice to see you again, as always. Anyone have an example of using splendidly, the adverb form? Let's hear your example. The house. Okay, we have Roni's example. The house sits in splendid isolation on top of a steep hill. Roni, that's a fantastic sentence. That's gorgeous. It's a splendid sentence because it's actually metaphoric. The house sits. A house can't sit. That's personification. You're giving the house human characteristics. The house sits in splendid isolation. So isolation tends to mean loneliness or something negative, something that's alone. But you've transformed the meaning into something beautiful and positive. That's very poetic. So that's a very beautiful sentence, Roni. Good example. Okay, we have Katia joining us. Is it Katia or Katila? Katia. Katia Alexandra. Thank you for joining us. What country are you watching from? Oh, we have another example from Sasaki. The woman doing splendid. Okay, we're missing a piece here. Doing with the ing isn't really a verb. It's only a verb when you have the be verb with it. So you need to say the women are doing splendid, or past tense, were doing splendid. But then we have the second problem. Are doing is a verb, but splendid is an adjective, and it needs a noun. So you need to say splendidly. The women are doing splendidly. Okay? By the way, guys, in a few moments we'll bring our guest on. Chris says, I have presented my mics splendidly on Amazon Live this evening. Wonderful. That's great news. I hope you sold a lot of mics, Chris. The way I understand it, Amazon Live is a very good way to make money selling great products. Got to get that iPhone. Carmen? You are doing your job splendidly. Okay, great. So Sasaki, take a look at this structure. You are doing your job splendidly. Splendidly is the adverb, so it tells us how I am doing, in what way. So that's how you need to structure your example. Facebook user is asking me, do you have a Punjabi breakfast? That's a very interesting question. Well, here's my answer. I don't have a Punjabi breakfast in me. I did not eat a Punjabi breakfast today, but I have in the past. Where I live, there are some wonderful Punjabi restaurants. There's even a guy in my neighborhood, a pizza shop, who makes pizza with Punjabi ingredients. Pretty awesome. Okay, well, Shaheen has an example. You have make your lecture ease me splendidly. Okay, that's nice to know. And I saw Wilson has another example. The dinner I ate today was splendidly amazing. Great. And Luza says, I had a splendid evening with a new group of young students. Very nice. Splendid evening. Okay, Sasaki says, okay, you are doing work. Splendid. Okay, now we got to fix the splendid because you're describing the action. So we need the adverb form. You are doing work splendidly. Can we put the example that was similar structure? Where was it? Somewhere around here. Yeah. Down, down. You are delivering. Look at this example, Sasaki. You are delivering splendidly. So your sentence is built the same way as Shaheen's. You are delivering splendidly. So your sentence needs to be structured the same way. Oh, we have Manuel joining us. Welcome, welcome, Manuel. What country are you watching from? Okay, guys. I'd like to bring my guest on. They're standing by. Okay. Now, okay, let's say goodbye to our vocabulary. Okay. It's my honor to bring this guest on today and introduce her to you. She's a very impressive educator that I met online. I actually saw her in a different live stream by my colleague Eric, and was very impressed with both of them. And by the way, we will have Eric on the show shortly. My guest today is teacher Janet. She's the content creator of the YouTube channel English Era. She's been teaching English as a TESOL certified second and foreign language instructor for 7 years. Okay? And she coaches students in IELTS. She works with both children and adults, which is really impressive to me because I don't work with children. I don't know how. I only teach adults. Very impressive. And interestingly, she is right now based in Turkey, which is pretty far from where I am. So I have a feeling her time zone is a little different. So it's my great honor to introduce this young lady to the show and introduce her to you. Let's welcome teacher Janet. Hi, Janet. How are you?
I'm pretty good. Yes.
Good.
Morning from Turkey.
So what time is it
Yeah.
there?
It's just 6:30 in the morning.
Are you a little
It's
sleepy?
still dark actually. I woke up around 5 o'clock. I'm just so excited, you know?
Oh, you are. That's good. I'm excited
Yeah.
to have you on the show. So,
Yes.
so it's Saturday for you.
It's Saturday.
Do you do any teaching on Saturday, or do you take the day off and rest?
It's my day off. It's my rest day. Yeah.
What do you like to do on Saturday?
Actually, I do random things on the weekend. It depends
Mm-hmm.
on my interests or my husband, what we want to do. Like
Yeah,
we sometimes do cooking or we walk around or we go to different places like that.
yeah. And how
Yeah.
long have you been in Turkey?
I've been here for like almost 2 years. It's gonna be 2 years in January 2022. Yeah.
You must have you been able to visit some of the historical and cultural places? There must be amazing things to see
Of
there.
course, yeah.
Yeah.
I do. I did, and I still want to explore many places here.
I'm a big fan of archaeology and history.
Yeah.
So I watch a lot of documentaries about recent archaeological discoveries in Turkey. It's really interesting.
Yes, Turkey is for
A lot
you.
of,
So
yeah.
we're waiting for you
I've never
here.
been. Okay, I'll visit sometime. It's funny because when I see all my viewers around the world or hear them talk about their countries or have guests on from different countries, it just makes my list of places to visit grow. I just get more and more excited to travel. Okay, Janet, let's hear a little bit about your story. Let's go back in time a little bit. Tell us
Mhm.
about where you grew up and specifically when you started learning English and how you started learning English. Because it is your
Well,
second language, isn't it?
yes, it's actually a second official language in our country, and I'm actually originally from the Philippines. Yes, it's in Southeast Asia.
Yeah.
So, yes, English is our second language. So, since I was young, then
Right.
I can hear English everywhere. It's
Yeah.
not hard for us to learn English because we are
Yeah.
immersed. It's just that, people still talk in local language. So,
Sure.
it's not easy for us to practice,
Yeah.
but actually, most of us really know English. We
Sure.
understand generally. But when it comes to like talking or communicating with others, we still need time to
Yeah.
really prepare ourselves and practice.
So
Yeah,
you started when you're in elementary school, you start learning English, right?
kind of elementary school or primary school. I
Yeah.
was already learning basic words. Yeah. And in elementary school, I was exposed to like, basic structure, like grammar. In high school, we were like more on practicing literature like that. I
Yeah.
actually kind of built up my confidence when I was in college at the university because I used to be an English major. That's the major I was taking because I hated English. I hated how it sounded. It sounds like, like if you're gonna talk in English in the Philippines, people might think that you're a social climber or
Mm,
something like that. And I hated it. But I said, if I wouldn't know English, I don't know where am I right now. I mean, I don't know what kind of job I'm gonna do. And if you know English, you have an advantage. So yeah, I took a leave and then practiced it at the university in college. And finally, when I got a job, um, I started really teaching English. So I've been exposed so early. Yeah, and
so
that's
you
the
went
time
right
that I
from
really spent.
university.
Mm-hmm.
You went right from university to working as an English teacher.
Yeah, actually, I had a part-time job back at the university. I used to teach Koreans online at night and study in the morning, like that. So that
Yeah.
time I was already exposed. And so, okay, after finishing my college, then I think I'm loving this job. So I continue.
So was there a
Yeah.
moment where you started by hating English and it had
Yes.
this kind of stigma, social stigma, like, oh, she's a climber. But then something
Right.
changed and you clearly found some kind of passion for it. Was
Mm-hmm.
that change slow or was it right away that something changed? Was there, do you remember?
Slowly, actually, because I'm actually a fan of I English songs. I love music. I also I was addicted to listening to the radio. So I listened to the radio where DJs are speaking in English. And so I said I wanted to be a DJ. I wanted to be a radio jock,
Oh, okay.
but I cannot speak English. So like, okay, how can I do that? So I tried to like copy how they talk. Yeah. And the time it seems to me like okay, I'm enjoying it. I'm loving English little by little.
Nice.
Yeah.
Do you think it happened also as your skill improved and your confidence grew? Was
I
there a
can
parallel?
say so. Yeah, I used to be really shy, you know, back in high school, and I didn't want to talk to anyone. Yes, I wasn't really confident. And in the Philippines, there's always like um people are judging your English, your grammar, the way you talk, you know?
Right.
Yeah, so my confidence level was really low that time, and
Yeah.
that's the reason why I also hated English at the time. But then
It
I
made you
said
feel bad, right?
yes, it will really make you feel bad. But then I said, okay, a lot of jobs right now really are related to communication skills. If you know English, you have an advantage. So I really push myself to practice hard and to immerse myself in English.
Nice.
Yeah.
And now and so after you finished university, you started teaching.
hmm
Did you teach children right away or adults right away? Or a mix?
Um, After university, I used to teach adults because a lot of adults, I mean, international professionals from around the world are going to the Philippines because it's cheaper to teach to study English there. So they go in summer. for vacation and study English at the same time. So yes, my first encounter was with Turkish and Arab students. So like
Okay.
that time, I didn't know the culture. I didn't know how to teach. I didn't have like certification to teach. So I just went with the flow. Yeah, I was
That's a
exposed
great
to the
approach.
language. Mm-hmm.
You know, it sounds, what you did is very courageous because of course, it also sounds at first that it was very uncomfortable, very,
Mm,
probably made you nervous, but you
right,
continued, even though sometimes I encountered that too. When I first started teaching, I was very worried about it and who's going to listen to me.
right,
But you do it anyway because you knew something inside you was, I can do this, even
right.
though it's uncomfortable, right?
Yes, and the thing is, my students were older than I am. So like 36, 35 years old. I was like, how can I teach them? And most of them were like basics, basic beginner, and you need to
Yeah.
teach them how to structure sentences. So I feel like how can I teach them without offending them at the same time, without
Yeah.
making them feel offended? Because they're learning something basic at that age. So yeah, it's really interesting.
One thing I've learned working with beginner level adults is they really, really want your help, Janet, because they're adults, so they're in their own language. They think very complexly about adult things. They think about
Right.
life and relationships and family and children and politics and economy in their own language. But then their English is so beginner, it's like they feel like they're talking like a child or a baby, and that their intelligence and their education level and their complexity of thinking is really high, but their English language is really low. That's really frustrating.
Right.
It's really frustrating. And our job is to get them to match at least more, right? So that they
Right.
feel confident that they can express their ideas. Like if you're teaching a child, a baby, they don't think complexly yet, right? They think,
Right.
"Mommy, give me some milk. Where's
Yeah.
my ball?" That's pretty simple stuff. So the language grows as their intellect grows. It's very
That's
different for
true.
adults. So I
Right.
think you did a great job. You probably helped those people a lot, right?
Yeah, and right now I feel confident teaching both adults and kids.
Good.
Yeah, because I've been exposed to them.
And so you've taught adults, and then when did you start teaching children?
I started
When did that?
teaching children um when I went to China. But before that, actually, there was like in our language school, because I used to teach. Ah, no, I was directed to an international school, and that time I used to teach English as second language. It's like um what's that? Like a
Yeah,
remedial course for
remedial course. Yeah.
international students who cannot speak English with their classmates. So I used to teach grade schoolers that time. It was pretty hard to manage. Like how could I survive this class
Yeah.
with kids, And it was my first encounter with a bunch of kids who didn't really understand me at all. So how could I make it engaging? And then in 2019 I went to China. So there I used to teach English with kids,
Okay.
teaching them reading, how to talk in English. Yeah.
What made you decide to suddenly go to China to teach? That seems like a big move.
Yeah, because I had a TESOL certificate and I said, okay, if I'm going to stay in the Philippines, wh- what's going to happen after? You know, I invested at least. So I said, I'm going to find a place or teaching posts abroad to, see. And I ended up being in China. And at the same time, that time my boyfriend was studying masters in China. So I said, why not?
Okay.
Why
You
not go
followed him
there?
there.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
a romantic story.
kinda.
Okay, so after China, what happened after China? After that experience? And by
What
the way,
happened?
Janet, someone said something very nice here.
Yeah.
Someone said a nice compliment to you down below. That's Denise. Denise said something very nice about you. Up, yes, it starts with yes. Yes, yeah. Let's pop that up.
Oh, adults need help. That's true.
And you helped them a lot. I agree.
Yeah.
I think
I
that's
suppose
really
it
nice,
takes
Denise.
a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, lovely. Okay, so let's go back to the story. After China,
Uh-huh.
what did you do?
What did I do after China? Actually, I came here to Turkey for vacation, for a holiday, because it was Chinese New Year, and Chinese New Year is usually for like 10 days, almost 2 weeks. I said, okay, I'm gonna go to Turkey. I'm gonna go on vacation. And I said, okay, I think it's also about time to meet my boyfriend's family that time.
And they
Yes.
were in Turkey?
Yeah, they're
Ah,
in
okay.
Turkey. Yeah. So I said, okay, why not go to Turkey and enjoy my 10 days um leave holiday. So like I used to live in Wuhan at this epicenter of the COVID.
I'm
And
glad you
after
left.
after leaving, I think 2 days they quarantined the entire place. I said, okay, it's
So
kind
you
of a,
left at a good time.
yeah, it's like okay, blessing in disguise or something like that. And then I said, okay, how about my things there? How about my stuff like that? So I said, okay, maybe after a month it's gonna be done. After 2 months, but then that's the peak. I think like the starting point of the pandemic, and like when can I go back to China like that? And my company actually offered like online classes. So that time I was here and was still teaching, but eventually they closed because they couldn't find students. It
Yeah,
was the hardest time
yeah,
in Wuhan in China. So I stayed here and I'm still here. Yeah,
yeah.
I'm stuck here. And while staying here, I decided to also get married with my boyfriend.
Congratulations. That's
Thank
nice.
thank you so much.
Nice. So
Yeah.
the love story that took you to China, took you to Turkey, and ended up in
Yes,
marriage.
ended
Lovely.
up here.
Jenna, we have a question from On the Spot Language. On the Spot Language is a very unique language program in Toronto, Canada, where
Mm,
Anish Daya, who runs this program, he takes students out into the real world so they can use their English with real people. And he's
interesting.
really great at developing the confidence and the mindset of a learner. So he has a question here for you. What did you realize about language learning when you were in China? So what did you learn about learning and teaching when you were in China? What did that experience teach you?
It's actually kind of hard to learn English in China. It's totally different from English. They have characters. They don't have the letters that we use in English. And so it's hard for them to read.
Yeah.
Yes, they have to learn phonics. They have to be exposed with the sounds of English. And it's also hard to teach because like especially kids, how would you present them the language without them knowing totally about it? So basically they learn through illustrations, through pictures, visuals, actions, what
Yeah.
you show them, and they learn by mimicking, copying. How you
Yeah.
talk, that's how they talk to you, like a parrot, like that.
Yeah.
So that's how they learn. And when they hear that, they on repeat, then that's the time that it will sink into them.
Yeah.
And that's the time that they're gonna start talking. They're gonna start speaking English. Like they have
Nice.
canned canned answers, canned responses.
Sure.
Like how are you? I'm good. I'm fine, thank you. And you? So
Yeah.
basically, that's how they
Well, it's not a bad
respond
way to
to you.
start, right?
It's not a bad way to start. It's actually like kind of long compared to I'm good. That's it. So like
Yeah.
at least they have a response and they're asking how are you too
Yeah.
for kids generally.
Yeah.
And I realized that why Chinese people speak English like that, it's because of the feature of their language. And when
Very
they
different.
speak English, there's always extra sound at the end. It's because of the influence of their first language. So
That's
it's
interesting.
really interesting. Yeah,
Yeah. That's what we call language interference. And
right.
it's true for everyone's, the transition
Hmm.
from their native language to English or any other second language. There's this point where the new language gets interfered with by the existing language. And sometimes, like, they're using either the grammar structure of their language with the English or the sounds of their language or even the
Right,
rhythms.
right.
It's a problem for everyone, but
Yes,
it just takes time. It takes
yeah.
time.
But the thing is, when you learn Chinese, it's not as complicated as learning English. Yeah. They have basic structure. They use present in everything. Present tense for the
Yeah.
past, for the future. So it's not easy. So when they talk in English, it's the same. They bring the Chinese grammar, the English grammar,
Yeah. Everything's
and
present tense.
yeah, they only
We're always in
change
the
the
now. Yeah.
yes, they only change
It's
the
just always
time.
now. Yeah.
Yeah, like I
It's a
eat
very interesting.
yesterday. It's interesting, really. That's
Yeah.
why now I figure out that okay, this is the common mistakes Chinese students make. It's because
Yeah.
of their grammar in their first
It's a great
language.
insight to bring to your
Hmm.
teaching that you learn how their specific language affects their learning of English. Once you identify those issues,
Hmm.
it really helps your ability to teach them, right?
Right, that's true.
So
It
now
is.
that you're in Turkey, are you teaching Turkish learners
Mm,
or still working international students online?
I'm currently working online.
Yeah.
Yes.
So what
I
kind of students come to you normally?
adults. Most of my students are adults right now from Europe, from Brazil. I mean, mixed adults. Because I wanted to apply for here schools, but I think it was late for me to do so because they already opened schools and
Yeah.
they don't need teachers right now. So I said, okay,
Sure.
let's just go online. So yeah.
Do you like teaching online or the
Yes,
class?
it's comfortable online, but it's not as dynamic as how you teach in class. You That atmosphere is not there. It's like you're talking on the screen and you cannot see touch the student personally. You cannot
Yeah.
interact with them. You cannot show your emotion fully. It's because you're only limited in that screen. But I still love the classroom setup. Yeah.
We have a question here, another one from On the Spot. He's always got great questions, by the way.
Okay.
What has been your biggest challenge working online?
What has been my
Maybe you
biggest
kind of just
challenge?
answered it, but what's the number one challenge?
Number one challenge is time difference. Time zone. Yeah.
Yeah.
I the good thing about living in Turkey is you're in the middle of west and east, and so it's not really like a problem. But the thing is, sometimes when you teach online and when you teach classes privately, there are times that the students are busy and want to move the class at this time. Like so, sometimes you cannot meet halfway.
Yeah.
Another challenge I think is what's that? Um, the culture. I mean, the way students talk to you and the age gap. So like some students are older than I am, so like they think that um, how to say it? Like how could I impose my authority over my students since I'm a teacher?
Yeah.
Yes, even if they are professional services people out there. But then,
Yeah.
yes, it's kind of challenging but interesting at the same time because you get to learn from them too, and you
Yeah.
get it actually develops your teaching strategies over
Yeah.
time.
Do you think a teacher has to be an authority figure over a student? Do you think that's necessary?
Actually, no, but there will come a time that the because I talk with my students like a friend, but still I maintain that teacherness, you know?
Yeah.
And yeah, because if you talk to them that way, like a friend, you won't gain their respect, you know?
Okay.
You won't gain that kind of the respect that teacher usually earns because they look at you as a friend who is their speaking partner or something, you know?
Yeah.
So I believe that there's still, but it's not the traditional way of like, okay, I'm a teacher, I'm the boss in the class. It's not like
Right.
that. Right now, the trend in teaching English is student centered. So
Yeah.
you focus on your class, on the students.
That's great
Yeah,
advice. And of course, even if you're younger than your student, you have what they don't have. You
right.
have a knowledge base and a skill that they don't have and that they're paying you to get. So you have the golden treasure. You have the English that they want. So
Mm-hmm.
that makes you an authority over them, right? And
Right.
I think as you teach them, you probably earn their trust every day, every moment of the
Mm-hmm.
way by demonstrating that you are an expert in English. You have that authority, regardless of age and however they feel about that relationship. You are the expert, right?
Right. Yeah.
Jenna, we have a question here from Franco the Tutor. He's another fantastic online educator, and he's been on the show actually. He's really
Oh,
a wonderful educator. You should check out his channel and his Facebook page. He's doing amazing things,
all
and
right.
he's down in South America. So he's asking you, what's the best advice you've been given about teaching
The
from someone
best
else?
advice from from a teacher. Okay.
Maybe or
Um,
anyone, but
or
about
yeah,
teaching.
about teaching, the best advice. Lots of best advice, pieces of advice actually. Um, one thing I can give is to enjoy the time with the student. I mean, some teachers are stressed out. I encounter a lot of teachers like this, stressed out lesson planning, stressed out thinking about activities in class. You know, as a teacher, being dynamic is a part of the job and being flexible. You
Yeah,
know, so you always need to have a backup plan, the plan B. Yes. So and enjoy the time in class. Do not stress out because it transcends to if you're
that's
stressed
nice.
out, overthinking about the lessons, the class, the activities, the students also feel it. The affective filter is there. So the students also feel the stress that you feel and they don't enjoy the class.
Yeah,
They feel also stressed out because the stress transcends to them. And yeah, it's
they might even feel
enjoy
like
the
they're the
time.
cause,
Right, right.
right? They
That's
don't want to feel.
true.
That's not a way a student should feel. A student should feel like
Right,
they're the cause of your stress, right?
right. But when I say enjoy, it doesn't mean that you play with your students or you joke with them all the time. What I want to say is enjoy the moment that you have with your students. If you are working in class or doing some activities, engage, engage with them. Engage with the language that both of you have in common. Engage in English. Engage in asking questions to your students. That's what keeps them talking, and that is their goal to really talk in English to communicate.
Yeah,
Yes. So
that's
yeah,
great.
enjoy your
That's a great
time.
point. You
Mm-hmm.
know, if you, regardless of whatever you've planned, what you can always do is just have a conversation with them. Give
That's
them a
true.
chance to speak. I mean, I've
Right.
had days in a classroom where I had a lesson plan, but then I realized, nah, this is garbage.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody wants to do this today. So I would
Yeah.
just start by asking questions or put questions on the board and say, guys, start talking about this. And just give
Right.
them a chance to talk. That will
Mm-hmm.
always be valuable and it will always be
Right.
fun.
That's true. And it gives it makes a class memorable. It makes the lesson memorable. Even can let students ask each other, So after
Yeah.
when they leave the class, they can use it in real life.
Yeah. Janet, we're almost out of time, unfortunately. I could speak to you forever
Sure.
about this topic, but I want
Yes.
to give you a chance. I want to give you a
Mm-hmm.
chance to teach our viewers your top 3 learning tips. So let's go to your
Yes.
top 3 learning tips and we'll break them down one by one.
Sure.
So
Yes.
what's teacher tip number 1 from teacher Janet? Let's see that.
Teacher tip number one is to include English in your interests. Yes, it's kind of cliche, okay? You hear this a lot of times. If you hear this a lot of times, it means they work. They
Yeah,
work
there's
with
truth in it,
others,
right?
right? So include English in your interests. You may not want to read a news about politics if you are into sports, if you're into football. So read, listen to English, watch English based on your interests.
Yeah.
That's the time that you can have a good grasp of the language. I always do this with my students. If the student doesn't want to talk, I asked them about their interests, and they
Yeah.
started telling stories about it, and that's what makes them talking. So include English in your interests. If you love
Great advice.
music, listen to English music. If you love um, sports, as I mentioned, watch sports in English with the English
Yeah.
commentators,
Yeah.
like that. Like live sports, watch it with English commentators, not in your own language. That will actually work. Or if you love mobile games, set up the language in English. So you're still immersed in the language.
Yeah. Still using it.
Yeah,
I remember
right.
once I had a class and I had a really large number of boys from Brazil and Saudi Arabia, and all the time they would talk about soccer, football,
Yeah.
but they hated reading. They said, "Teacher, I hate reading," in my reading and writing class.
Mm-hmm.
So I convinced the school to get a subscription to a magazine called Sports Illustrated, and
Oh.
it features great writing, great things
Mm-hmm.
to read about soccer. And these guys couldn't get enough of it. Suddenly
Yeah.
they became readers. They're, teacher, do we have the new magazine in yet? Well, it's
Right.
coming in on Friday. Oh, okay, can't wait. They're so excited to read. And it was because of your
Yes.
tip. It was because they were reading about football. They didn't know you could read stuff about football. In the past, teachers were
Mm-hmm.
giving them essays to read about things they had no interest in.
Right.
So I've seen
That's
this.
true.
I've seen this work. It's a great
Mm-hmm.
tip, Janet. Okay,
Yes.
what's teacher Janet's learning tip number 2?
Tip number two is to make English a part of your habit. What do I mean by this? If you make English a part of your habit, you have a connection with the language. Because, for example, you are cooking, listen to a podcast. So that time, listen to an English podcast. So you're including English in your habits. If you
Okay.
are, if you're into, let's say, so if you're just even cleaning the house, you can listen to English songs like that. That time,
Make
you
it a
don't
part of
know
your
that
world,
you
right?
are. Yes, exactly. Make English a part of your world. If you do that, you're having a good connection with the language. I have seen a lot of students telling me, "Teacher, I already forgot English. I already forgot this word." It's because they don't have connection with the language. They don't
Okay.
include English in their habits. So I suggest you all who are watching right now to make English a part of your habit.
Great.
Yeah.
Take a shower and play the music. Play something
Yes.
in English, right?
Right.
Have
Yeah.
it in your house. We have all this
Right.
great technology with podcasts and
Everything's
audiobooks and
accessible.
yeah.
That's
Have it
true.
playing in your home when you're working on
Mm-hmm.
going through your habits. Okay. Teacher Janet's learning tip number 3.
Number three is to practice, practice, practice. That is the key. Yes, if you know English, you understand English, okay, understand reading English or listening to English. But if you don't practice them, if you don't practice them by writing or by speaking, producing them, um, then your English will not improve. So I suggest
Yeah.
you practice. If you think that you're weak at English writing, do some journal. Start with a journal. Write what you did today or what are your plans. Yeah, like that. If you think that you're weak at speaking, find a speaking partner. I saw a lot of Facebook groups online or
Yeah.
even apps online that are already, you can find English speaking partners and you can talk with them for free.
Yeah.
Yeah, make use of the social media, make use of your
It's
smartphone.
fantastic tools, right?
Yes, they are great tools. And if you're not
This.
really a digital person, then you can read English, watch, yeah, read in English. So that's the time that you absorb the language.
Yeah.
Yes, as long as you're practicing English, as long as you're um, stimulating your skills, your brain, your senses in that language, and you're trying to
Yeah.
connect with the language. Yes, practice is really the key.
I know a lot of our viewers live in countries where English is not widely spoken, so they often
Hmm.
say, "Teacher, how do I practice?" And as you
Right.
said, there's so many tools now. This year, I started my conversation cafe for just that reason, just to have a Zoom chat with people who want to join and talk. But
Hmm.
there's other
Oh,
things
that's
like you're
cool.
suggesting. I
Hmm.
actually met a boy from Brazil. He was kind of shy, so he didn't even have a lot of friends in his own language, Portuguese, but he played video games.
Hmm.
And when he came to Canada to study English, his English was fantastic. And I said,
Right.
"How did you learn English?" He said, "Watching and playing video games." And I didn't
Right.
know much about video games, so I said,
Yes.
"Oh, do you speak with your other players?" He goes, "No, I just read and listen."
Right.
So it's not ideal, but if you
Hmm.
can't speak, you can still learn and absorb by listening and watching, like you said, right? Of
Right.
course, it's better if you
Exactly.
can practice speaking. Of course, it's better if you can go to a place where everyone speaks English.
Right.
But if that's not possible, there's still other
Hmm.
ways you can continue to learn, right?
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
There's
And
other ways to practice.
right, other ways to practice. And again, if you think that you are forced to practice English, you would feel pressured. You won't feel motivated. So
Yeah,
practice English like it's a leisure activity for you, like
yeah.
that. Something that you enjoy. You won't enjoy something that you're forced to do. So yeah, enjoy English.
I think we have a comment here from Chris Derbovin. Janet, she's in
Yeah,
Belgium, and
cool.
I think she follows one of your tips. I think she listens to podcasts when she does her habits,
Mm-hmm.
and she uses English with her cat.
Okay.
That's- So
It's really nice.
I think
Yeah.
she follows tip number 2.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
I also want to say hello
Yeah.
to
Mm-hmm.
a late viewer. Mohammed's joined us a bit late. Hi, Mohammed. And Mark has a question for you. He says, "How many languages do you speak?"
I speak three languages so far, although I know a little Chinese, so I can speak English, my mother tongue, Filipino, and Turkish. I can speak Turkish now. Yeah.
Pretty good.
Yes, I can even haggle, bargain at the market.
Whoa, that's great. And
Yeah.
I hear that's really important in Turkey, right? In the markets.
Yes. You're right.
Fantastic. Janet, it's been lovely chatting with you, but it's about time to wrap up the show. So I'm going to say good
Yeah.
night, or good morning, or good day to you.
Good night to you.
Thank you very much for joining the show. I hope you'll come
Thank you
back another
so
time and
much
talk
for
more.
having me. Yes, I'm
My
looking
pleasure.
forward to meeting you again. And yes, drop by my channel too. I
Yep.
would love
Now
to see you there.
I'm going to put all your links and contact information in the description box. So guys,
Thank you
please
so
go to her
much.
channel. The channel is called Englishera.
English, Shara. Yes.
Okay,
That's
so find that on
mhm.
YouTube. Just type that in and you'll find it. And all the other contact information, I'll put it in the description box.
Yes.
So I think Chris says, thank you for your great and inspiring show. Okay, thank you, Chris. Thank you, Chris. I'm going to say thank you to a whole list of people that have been here. I keep a list running through the show.
Yeah.
Will you join me for the thank yous?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, stay with me. I want to say hello to Mahudin. Hopefully I'm saying that correctly. Chris from Belgium. Wako from Japan. Roni from Bangladesh. Saki from Japan but living in Canada. Ahmad from Pakistan. Mark from Canada. Wilson from Ecuador. Bargain Betty watches on the moon.
Oh.
Yeah, she says Bargain Betty from the moon.
Mm-hmm.
I believe her. Shaheen joined us from Bangladesh. We had Carmen from Peru. Sasaki from Japan, but in Canada. We had Luza. I think Luza's from Colombia. We had Katia, but I don't know where Katia is from. Carmen, are you from Colombia? Can you refresh my memory? No, you're from Peru, of course. Luza, I think, is from Colombia. Okay, never mind. Manuel, I don't know where Manuel is watching from. Thank you for watching, Manuel. We had Afzal, we have Denise, we had Anish Dea from Toronto, we had Chieko from Japan joining us. Sorry I didn't say hello earlier, Chieko. Franco the Tutor. Check out Franco the Tutor. Wonderful educator. And Mohammed. And I don't know where Mohammed's watching from. Anyways, guys, thank you for watching the show.
Thank you so
And
much.
Janet, thank you for joining the show. I'm going to say goodbye and
Yes.
gently push you off screen. So please take care. I'll catch up with you soon.
Thank you so much. Take care. Stay safe.
Okay. Bye, Janet. Okay, guys, that was wonderful. Thank you for welcoming my new friend Janet from English Era. Check out her YouTube channel. She's doing really cool stuff. Yes, Luza is from Colombia. Great. And British too. Manuel, where are you from? Oh, from Mexico. Great. Okay, thanks, Manuel. Thank you all for joining the show tonight, guys. Next week, we will not have a guest, I think. Can't remember. Usually it's guest, no guest, guest, no guest. Anyway, so if you have questions that we didn't answer tonight, I'm sorry. Bring them next week and we'll break them down on the board, okay? In the meantime, I want you all to keep learning English. Follow Janet's 3 tips. I will post them when I post the recording tomorrow. Continue to stay safe and healthy, guys. And until I see you next Friday, I have some of my own tips for you. One tip, I want you to do this for me. Keep learning English, stay safe and healthy, and stay cool.